Hello chess lovers, today we are going to discuss one of the greatest game ever played in the history of chess. This game was played between 13-year-old Bobby Fischer and International Chess Master Donald Byrne. In next few minutes, I am going to tell you why this game is called the game of the century. Okay, so let's start. Byrne opens with his knight to f3 and Fischer plays the same. Now both sides has developed their knights first. Now Byrne plays pawn c4 trying to claim the center. Now here, as you can see, the c pawn grabs space and supports a future d4 square. Fischer replies with pawn g6. Here Fischer is building the King's Indian setup. Byrne plays knight c3 reinforcing his grip on the center. Fischer responds with bishop g7. And here the bishop arrives, okay? It's like a dragon who is staring down the entire board. Now white plays pawn d4, completing the ideal pawn center. Fischer castles immediately. Now his king is safe. White responds with bishop f4. Now Fischer plays pawn d5. He strikes the center directly, going for an immediate center control. Now Byrne spots an opportunity and plays queen to b3. Fischer takes the pawn on c4. Byrne takes the pawn with his queen. Fischer plays pawn c6 and solidifies his center, while Byrne continues expanding his center and plays pawn e4. Now pawn on e4 and d4 are dominating the board. Till here, the game is going equal for both of the players. Now Fischer develops his queenside knight on d7, where it supports the c5 and e5 square. Every black piece is being pointed at the center now. Byrne brings his rook to d1, supporting the d4 pawn and adding pressure to the d file. Now Fischer's knight hops to b6, attacking the queen. Now Byrne must move, but where? So he plays queen c5. After that, Fischer plays his first extraordinary move, which is bishop to g4. He pins Byrne's knight on f3. If you are thinking, why does this matter? Let me tell you, because that f3 knight is one of the key defenders of white's center. By pinning it, Fischer is trying to break his solid center. Byrne responds with bishop g5 and pins Fischer's knight. Now watch. Both sides has pinned each other's pieces. It looks balanced, right? But Fischer has seen further ahead. He plays knight to a4. This is the first punch move by Fischer. Look what Fischer is doing here. He is attacking the queen on c5 and knight on c3. If Byrne takes the knight with his knight for free, and look, this is the way I want you to think about chess. That knight used to guard something. It guards the pawn in the center. Fischer's idea was to take the pawn with his knight and fork the queen and bishop. Here Byrne plays queen to a3. Fischer traded his knight. You guys may be thinking, but why? Why does he traded his knight? He just helped white to restructure the center, right? He traded off one of his attacking pieces. What was his plan? Let's see. Byrne recaptures with the b pawn. His queen side is now a little shaky. Then comes knight to e4. Fischer sacrifices again. He takes the e4 pawn with his knight. Look at the position now. Fischer has no material advantage here, because that bishop will take the pawn on e7, attacking both rook and queen. So will he gonna lose material? Maybe that's part of his plan. He plays queen b6. Byrne again doesn't bite. He plays bishop to c4. Wait, but why would he not just take the rook? Well, here's the idea. The idea is that now if he takes the rook, Fischer will take it with his bishop, and that bishop is directly attacking this queen on a4. So Donald has to move his queen. If he takes the queen back to c1, he's still losing it. Because Fischer's knight will go for pawn c3, and if Byrne tries to take that knight with his queen, Fischer will move his bishop to b4 and that queen gets pinned. Then Bobby plays his brilliant move, which is knight to c3. Wait, what is he doing? And for the third time in the game, Donald can't take it because he will lose a guard of his bishop. Instead, he plays bishop back to c5, attacking the queen. Byrne is trying to keep the game alive here. Now again, Bobby plays something brilliant. Fischer checks the king with his rook to e8. He forces Byrne's king to move to f1. Now comes the turning point of the entire game. Fischer plays bishop to e6. Wait, what? Is he giving up his queen? He's about to prove that a piece coordination is worth more than the raw material. Obviously, Byrne takes Bobby's queen on b6. So now, Bobby takes the bishop, giving a check, and he engages something which is known as a windmill. A windmill is something which is when you check with your knight to e2, and anywhere you move that knight, it's going to be checked by the bishop. So first he takes the free pawn, then he goes back, then he puts his knight on c3, giving a check. Then he first takes Byrne's bishop on b6, with his pawn attacking Byrne's queen and rook at the same time. So Byrne plays queen to b4 and Fischer goes for rook to a4, again attacking the queen. So he has to move it to b6, and finally Fischer takes the rook on d1. We get h3 by Byrne. So the count of material till here is that Fischer is up 3 points. So here we have a situation where one guy got a queen and the other one got a bunch of pieces trying to fight that queen. So let's see where it goes. Rook takes pawn, king moves to h2, knight takes pawn, and now we got a simplification. The rook gets traded. Fischer puts his bishop on d5, knight to f3. Fischer takes back his knight to e4, advancing the pawn to avoid the capture by queen. Byrne tries to create a little bit of flank pawn counterplay, but Bobby shuts that down. White moves knight to e5, and Fischer moves his king out of the way of what was pinned, then activate his bishop to c5. And now, in this position, we have a mating net. The rook is cutting off the king, the bishops are flying around, and the killer knight is there, and now we get bishop b4 check by Fischer. King moves over, bishop b3 check, king moves over, knight e2 check, king moves over, again knight to c3 check, king moves over, and finally rook c2 checkmate. And the game is over. From chaos to clarity, that's what chess is all about. We simplify the brilliancy so you can see the magic. If you enjoyed this video, do like, share and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next legendary chess battle.